Step number 2 in art analysis is called analysis. And remember that we are following this model called Feldman's art criticism model. And his theory was that the proper way to analyze an artwork is to follow these 4 steps. And they do all relate to each other. They build on each other. So eventually you'll be analyzing an artwork using all 4 steps, but we're just taking it one step at a time this entire school year. And we are now focusing on step number 2, which is called analysis. So what we've learned so far is that in step number 1, you take inventory of what you see in the artwork. What is there? What is it made out of? When was that artwork created? Who is or who was the artist? What is the title? And you have to be objective though. There are no opinions yet. Don't tell me that it looks cool or what you think the artwork is about or why it's called that. Why is that the title? That's not what we're doing yet. You include your opinion for step number 3 and step number 4. Step number 3 is interpretation. Step number 4 is judgment. So what happens in step number 2 though, which we call analysis? This is when we look at the elements and principles of design. And you learned about the elements and principles of design in 3D Design 1. So to analyze an artwork, you need to take apart what you see, just like as if you were taking apart a bike to figure out how it actually works, right? This picture here is a bike that has been disassembled, but you can learn about what makes the bike work by looking at all those specific parts of the bike. So when you're writing an analysis of the elements and principles of design, first of all, you are writing 2 separate paragraphs. The first paragraph is just about the elements. The second paragraph is just about the principles of design. We, of course, are going to take this step by step, so we're just going to focus on this today. Then we will focus on this, and eventually you'll be looking at both the elements and principles of design together. But if you remember the vocabulary, they do relate to each other. They are not 2 separate set of words. And keep in mind, you're not writing about every single element and principle. I let you choose. Sometimes I will identify specific elements or principles that I'd like you to write about because they're very evident in the artwork. But most times I ask you to choose. So the elements of design are the visual components of an artwork: line, shape, form, color, texture, and space. Shape is 2-dimensional, form is 3-dimensional. The principles of design are how the artwork is organized. Basically, how is the elements assembled together? How are they actually put together? So for example, this pattern here, there are repeating shapes that are black. So the shape is repeating, the color black is repeating. Contrast, there's a difference of values. Emphasis, balance. Remember, there is symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance, and radial balance. There's proportion, harmony, which we would call unity, and there's rhythm and movement. Now, this poster here is missing repetition and variety. Now, I want you to do a little bit of practice here. So which elements of design did you identify? So when I looked at this artwork, I identified these most dominantly used elements of design: line, form, texture, and color. Now you might think, well, there is no color. Well, there's the color white. So to me, these were the 4 dominant elements of design in the artwork. We could talk about all of them, but then we'd be here forever. So we like to focus on just a few dominant elements of design. Now let's take a look at this one. So which principles of design did you identify? So when I looked at this, the principles of design that seemed to be the most dominant in this sculpture were movement, particularly how these melted parts of the ice cream truck seem to be moving outward. Unity, due to the use of color and the fact that it's all related to ice cream. Proportion, because this looks pretty big on the sand. The truck looks fairly proportional, but the gooey bubblegum pink melting parts seem a lot bigger. And I said emphasis because of this pink. It's not a bright pink, it's a light pink color, but it's definitely emphasized against the natural background here. We could talk about the emphasis of the words as well. Again, how do you talk about the principles of design? You have to talk about the actual elements that are used, right? Color, form, texture. So I'm going to show you a good example of a written analysis of the principles of design for this particular artwork. And what I did was I identified 3 specific principles of design. I'm not going to write about all of them. So my paragraph about the principles started, in this sculpture, emphasis is placed on the melted ice cream because it is pink and appears to be oozing onto the ground. So I'm explaining how emphasis is being used. I could have talked about the words, but I decided to talk about the actual form of the sculpture. So now I'm going to talk about the contrast. The pink color contrasts against the background because it has a smooth texture while the ground looks rough. The lettering on the melted truck also contrasts so we can read it. The melted portions of the truck appear cartoon-like, while the background appears real. So I identified 3 ways that contrast is being used in this sculpture. I'm talking about the use of color, the use of color on the actual truck, and the fact that there's a contrast between what looks real and what looks fake, as well as the use of texture. Great. One more principle of design, I identified the use of unity. I recognize the use of unity because the sculpture is supposed to be a melted ice cream truck, and the melted portions look like pink ice cream. In the sun, ice cream would melt. So I'm explaining unity in terms of the fact that it's an ice cream truck, but it looks like it's melting, like how melted ice cream would actually look in real life. So what's unifying this design of the sculpture? It's the use of the illusion of ice cream. So the more accurately you can describe how an element and principle of design is being used, the more rich your written analysis will be. And later on, you'll be receiving a resource that you can use to help you when you're writing about how the elements and principles of design are being used. Keep in mind, just as you saw in this example, you are not writing about every single element and every single principle. That's not the point of this. I would like you to identify the dominant ones that are being used, the ones that are most evident. All right, so this is the end of this particular presentation. What I want you to do is you're going to go to the next assignment in Canvas, which is your actual task for today's art analysis.